On behalf of all of us, my name is Beasley St. So long, and enjoy your evening. Right now, Brendan Parker and Tim Hunter standing by with Ram Post Game Show, brought to you by your Alberta Ram dealers.
Winning Motor Trend Truck of the Year 3 times in a row? That had never been done before. Then again, neither had a 12-inch touchscreen or 1,000 pound-feet of torque. Never been done before. It's just kind of our thing.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Flames Post-Game Live, brought to you by Ram Truck, winner of Motor Trend Truck of the Year for the third year in a row. Brendan Parker alongside Calgary Flames alumnus, NHL alum Tim Hunter, first time on the post-game show, and it set up to be a game that kind of had some ebbs and flows to it. But maybe first of all, let's just get your thoughts on a game here tonight, a 4-1 loss for the Calgary Flames. San Jose Sharks come in and play a pretty efficient road game and get a win.
Well, they were pesky. They wouldn't go away, and you thought they would after the second period the Flames had, but they came out and they outshot the Flames early in the third period, and they kept going, and the Flames got a little stubborn, and they wouldn't simplify things like they had success with in the second period. And seeing eye puck finds its way in the net to make it 2-1. Now Flames scrambled a little bit and couldn't get back in the game. And they had a great performance by Aiden Hill in net. It was a big performance by him. He apparently had a couple assists too, so good on him.
Well, and you say pesky, and you kind of look at down a number of bodies, 7 guys on the COVID protocol list. But maybe as you kind of talked about in one of the intermissions, just kind of one of those group mentality efforts, and it simplifies, and then you end up kind of getting an effort like this from that group.
Yeah, for sure. They came in here wounded, and they played simple, and they felt their way through the game, and ended up. Like I said earlier, good performance by the goalie to hold them in the second period, not let the Flames take over the game, and got back into it. But, it's all coachable, learnable stuff for the Flames. They'll learn from this and be better for it.
Well said. All right, let's take a look at the highlights from this hockey game. It finishes as a 4-1 final, and for us, it goes all the way to the second period because it was no scoring in the first, kind of a low event in the first period, but that first one in the second period came early. In fact, just 47 seconds in, and it's Alexander Barabanov scoring his first of the season on a nice stretch pass from Brent Burns. That would make it 1-0, and here's another look at the Brent Burns stretch. Beautiful. Finishes it off 5 holes, so there's the game opener. But then it was just 30 seconds later. This was kind of the response. This is what you heard from Eric Goodbranson in the first intermission, and then eventually Milan Lucic talk about it as well. The quick response and really just kind of getting in and after it into the blue paint. What'd you see here, Tim?
Well, that's a pack mentality Calgary needs as an offensive team to be connected to each other offensively, be 2 and 3 guys around the puck, and the third and fourth guys not too far away. So when there's a turnover, they can create offense off it. And this line really has done that well, and you'd like to see more of it build through the lineup.
For sure, and there was several moments in that second period for that line in particular. But this now, as we fast forward to the third period, is what ends up being the difference in this hockey game, and a bit of an unfortunate break. It ends up going off the stick of Nikita Zadorov, but ends up being the game-winning goal.
Yeah, again, that's that simplify your game and just throw pucks to the net and hope for the best, get some bodies there, and that's what San Jose did. And they did it a little more consistently through the last half of the game, and they draw a goal here, and that put the Flames on their heels, and they couldn't get the evener.
Yeah, I had a couple of decent looks as that period went along, but here is the insurance marker, and I think, it kind of looks similar to that first goal, but Brent Burns throws it down, and Thomas Hertl beats the icing. He'd score that goal to make it 3-1, and then seconds later, another empty netter, Jonathan Dahlin, and that would kind of do it here, 4-1 the final there. And you mentioned Aiden Hill, and maybe just get a quick thought. As we can even show some of his work tonight, but it hasn't officially been listed, but it looks like he might pick up a pair of assists here tonight. So he gets the assist on the first goal from Alexander Barabanov, and then he ends up getting maybe another helper on that empty netter goal. But more so the work that he had in the crease, and I think he faces close to 40 shots here, but looked pretty steady back there for San Jose.
Well, not unlike some of the work Markstrom's done here in Calgary, just making big saves at the right time and not letting that next goal get by him if he does allow a goal. And they had to have about 4 whacks at the first goal that Calgary did score. So it wasn't an easy night for the Flames offense around him. Deservedly so. He's a good goalie, and he showed it tonight. So good for the Sharks. They they come in here and get a big 2 points in a divisional win.
Maybe just a thought was you kind of go back to that second period, and we're kind of seeing a lot of that work here in this Eden Hill saves pack. But just, as you kind of leave a period and you feel like you've done a lot of good things, I mean, how do you trying to keep that momentum going, but kind of maybe feeling like you should have come out of that period with more than one goal potentially there?
Yeah, and that's hindsight. But, like I said before, the coaching staff's going to show those guys, this is what we're all about here, guys. We only played 20 minutes tonight. Yeah. We're not a 20-minute hockey team. You don't win hockey games playing 20 minutes. And that's going to be their mantra going on the road here. We got to put simple hockey. We got to be a hard, honest hockey team to play against for 60 minutes, not 25 or 35. And that's what Daryl's talked about, a learning process with a lot of these guys. And you got some young guys developing, and they're learning that too. And good things moving ahead. It's a loss, but they're going to learn from it, and they'll be better from it, like I said.
Yeah, you're not going to get points in every single game. That's one thing we know. And I could just to circle back on what we heard from Eric Branson and Milan Lucic. One of those things that you like to hear about, kind of understanding when we're going and when we're not, and how those guys, the veterans in that locker room, kind of identified that. We saw kind of transitions from both the first to the second, and then the second to the third. But just having that understanding of what that game needs to look like from the players.
Well, yeah, when you're a coach and you hear your players saying those things, that they can self-analyze, they self-critique themselves, both themselves as a player or themselves as a team, and that's wonderful. I listen to the interviews here, and these guys, they're all smart and they know what they're talking about, and it's good to listen to. They're eloquent, they know the game, and they know where their inefficiencies are, and that's good when you're a coach and you see that, so the message is getting through to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe a thought before we'll hear from head coach Daryl Sutter. I know he's on his way to the press conference room as well. But Milan Lucic, we kind of pointed out that line, how they kind of maybe sparked this group at different times in this hockey game. But he's scored in now 3 straight games, all 5-on-5 goals. Just that role player that he's become for this group, and then chipping in and offensively too. I mean, he's kind of. We've talked about it over the last couple of days, but just that niche role, that role that he knows how to play so well, that we're kind of seeing on display right now.
Well, he's everything that the Flames wanted for when they traded for him. He's a big body, bangs bodies, gets to the front of the net. He has some scoring ability, no doubt, and he's showing that here early in the season. And then his leadership abilities, coming from a good team in Boston and being around some good people in Edmonton and leading Mangiapane and Dubé along here. And that line is, they're going to get better and better, and it's really, I really look forward to seeing the rest of the season with these guys, because they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, because they all play connected. 3 guys, they got good chemistry. They're always talking on the bench or at the bench. So these are good things, good building blocks, and as teammates, they can all learn from that as well.
Well, a couple of guys that you said, younger guys, play with pace, but then probably like you having the bigger Milan Lucic, that presence there on that line too with them. I'm sure that it seems like a great company. Obviously, it's working here in the early going, but just that nice the youth with the experience there.
Yeah, and you're never going to have 3 players that are the same on a line, so you need a balance. You got speed with the 2 guys on Mangiapane and Dubé, and you got that guy that's going to the front of the net, going to the corners to win some battles. And those 2 young guys know that Milan's got their back if anyone wants to rough them up.
Yeah, well said. All right, let's go to hear from the head coach now. Daryl Sutter is at the podium. We'll get our first chance to hear what he thought of tonight's 4-1 loss at the hands of the San Jose Sharks.
What were you guys missing tonight, or was this just a matter of a hot goalie?
I'm not so sure that it was hot goalie. I think that it was a close game, and we had them chance. We had them chance in the power play in the second, and didn't go up. But that's the San Jose plays. Give them credit. They give you 0 on the rush and don't take many penalties, and you kind of got to score like we scored. You got to chip pucks and rim pucks and do all that and fight to get it back. And I think that we probably had some guys that weren't as diligent in that.
Anybody else? Just the third period, Daryl, it seemed, or especially early on, they outplayed you. Did you see it that same way?
I think they came out and, I thought we had the better of them in second. I'm sure that we thought we could continue that, and they came out with a little more jump. But I think in the end, who scored the winner there? Was it Kucher, Logan, and those guys play a lot, and they were probably better than our top guys tonight.
All right, so there's some thoughts from the head coach, Daryl Sutter, and kind of along the similar lines we've heard, obviously you've talked about here, and then but from both guys as well in the intermission. It's kind of along that same sentiment.
Well, yeah, and the other team's trying to win too, and they compete. They keep things simple, and their game was better than Calgary's game in the end of the day. And they just kind of kept to their game longer, and Calgary could keep to their game. And they got some breaks, and that C&I goal, that second goal was a tough one, and it's tough to score in this league, and when you get behind, it's even tougher. Yeah,
well said. And it's interesting because obviously the break that sets up the game-winning goal goes off of Nikita Zadorov, and we'll kind of take a look at some of his work. That's the unfortunate. But there were some moments here in this game, and I think you had mentioned in the first period how much you like that pairing here as of late with Eric Goodbranson and Nikita Zadorov playing together.
Well, they play to their identity. They're big guys. They're physical. They move pucks simply, and they're tough and hard to play against around the front of the net. And that's why you get big defensemen like that, to make it hard on the other team's forwards around the front of your net. Killing penalties. They got big, long sticks. They're rangy. You don't have a lot of room and a lot of angles to move pucks in the power play because they got good sticks on the PK. And you look at the teams that win Stanley Cup championships and win playoff series, they all have big defense, and the more the better.
Yeah, and we saw some of that size. Obviously, the hit in the neutral zone protects a couple of goals there. And then unfortunate that last one deflects off his stick and in. All right, let's go right back to the podium here. Continue our post-game coverage. Looks like we had Milan Lucic, and who else was joining in there? Michael Backlund is also there. So let's hear from Lucic and Backlund here post-game.
Was there a feeling of inevitability going into that third period where you thought, sticking with the process, eventually you would score and go ahead?
Yeah, that was our mindset for the second period. I thought we played better. First period wasn't as good as we wanted to, and then the second we played better. Our first few shifts in the third wasn't as good. They came with a push, played better than us, and they deserved that goal, and then we had to chase for the rest of the period.
Yeah, like Back said, it wasn't a great first. It seems like we were half a step or a step behind, keeping plays alive or keeping zone time or any of that type of stuff. So it was there in the second period. They get a bounce in the third, and we're able to shut us down, for the rest of the third. And it sucks losing that one because you play so hard in the second and only get one out of there. And sometimes when you let teams hang around, that's what happens.
Was this, Aiden Hill had a hell of a game. Is this a case of you guys really just running up against a hot goalie?
Yeah, guess you can say that. He played well for them. He made big saves. We found ways this year to beat goalies and get ourselves leads and bury on chances, and we weren't able to do it tonight.
Is it a bit tough, off a Saturday game that was pretty intense and the crowd was rocking, to have that same energy on a Tuesday night and bringing that same element?
Yeah, no, we were excited to come out tonight. We're just excited to have fans back in the building and to get to play in front of fans every night. We learned the hard way a lesson of that, and for sure, we scored 6 at home on Saturday. Fans go crazy, of course. So, but coming in tonight was the same mentality as on Saturday, and but we didn't play as good, and we're gonna have to have a better start in Montreal.
Veteran guys, in your experience, what's the key when a long point streak ends? What's the key to the reset that happens next?
Just start a new one. It's we have to do what we did in the first game in the last road trip. You can't look at the road trip as a whole. You just got to take it. You want to start the road trip off on the right note. And like Back says, the most important thing right now is for us to regroup and reset and have a good start and be ready to play and have a good first period in Montreal and then get rolling from there. But to answer your question, I think we've built a foundation, we've built an identity, and something that we can go back to and rely on that's going to give us success, and that's something that we need to do on puck drop on Thursday night.
You've played a long time. Have you ever scored a goal before that required 2 reviews to confirm?
No, that's. I think they ended up changing it to Manji anyway. But regardless, you know, I'm just. We were happy and thankful that they got the call right. You know, because being on the goal line, we did see it go in, and but unfortunately, it was the only one we got tonight.
You know, there are going to be people who didn't maybe watch the game tonight, just heard about the lineup that you guys are facing and think maybe you guys took these guys lightly. That was something you guarded against all morning. I'm sure it was talked about.
Yeah, it was. We talked about it, but we knew it was going to be a similar game as in Pittsburgh, where they play with a lot of energy and a lot of speed. You know, they're going to have a good forecheck and good track, and that's what they did. I thought in the second we played faster and better, and we had more power play time too, so we created some momentum. You know, they got that first one in the third, and then we couldn't break through, and they did a good job playing with the lead. And give credit for those guys, because there are a lot of young guys in the lineup, but they worked hard, and we knew going in this was going to be a hard game the way they play.
We call it the Ram 1500 Limited. But truth be told, there's nothing limited about it. Ram 1500, winner, J.D. Power Award for Best Driver Appeal.
Welcome back to Flames Post Game Live, brought to you by Ram Truck, winner of Motor Trend Truck of the Year for the 3rd year running. Brendan Parker alongside Tim Hunter, and heard some thoughts from Milan Lucic and Michael Backlund. I guess probably, again, from a coaching perspective, exactly what you'd want to hear from your players, kind of taking what they took out of this hockey game and moving it forward to this upcoming road trip here.
Yeah, I think that's why Daryl Sutter didn't have to say much, because he knows his players know what they're talking about, and they do. And they again, self-critique is very important in pro sports, and these guys understand it. Very eloquent, saying the right things, and he's going to spread that news in the locker room too amongst the players. These guys, you know, they're trying to stay positive. It's a loss, yeah, and they're going to learn from it and move forward and reset like they should on Thursday.
Yeah, and maybe just before we wrap up here tonight, you know, a thought on that 7-game road trip. It can be probably a little bit daunting if you look at it as a whole, and the amount of hockey you're going to play. It's bookended by 2 back-to-backs to finish it off. But, you know, just sort of that mindset you take into it, and how you kind of approach a road trip where you've had some success already on the road this season, but you got a big one coming up here.
Well, build on your success you had early on, and like Milan said, just keep it simple. Start one game at a time, and go at Montreal, and you know, play your game, play your identity, and realize you have to play 60 minutes to win a hockey game and not 25. So they've got the right mindset, and now let's just go out and do it, and get some confidence, win a game, and move along to the next one.
Also a big weekend this weekend for a Calgary Flames alumnus, Jerome McGinley, the Hall of Fame weekend. Maybe, I know Landy's obviously involved in that too, and you know, what stood out about Jerome McGinley, maybe as we let you go? You know, obviously you've seen him around a lot, so yeah, number 12.
Well, it's great for the Flames organization and great for Jerome. I mean, you talk about character in hockey, and all the guys that end up in the Hall of Fame, that's the number one thing they all have is high character, and you don't get in the Hall of Fame unless you have high character, and he certainly has that. And you know, different stints against him and being around him, just saw he had a special quality. And I said that to Kevin Lowe too. I always looked at you and said, you know, you have a special quality, and I was always trying to figure out what it was. And I sent him a text, and I said, now I know, it's Hall of Famer. And that's the same with Jerome. That special quality really is, and that's proof by being selected and elected in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, what an honor. That's great stuff. Great insight there. Yeah, I guess you had a few battles with Kevin Lowe over the years, so you probably saw a few of those over the years.
Yeah, and you know, it's great, and all the guys going in, it's nice that you've had a bit of a moment with all of them, even Doug Wilson and Marian Hossa. two more guys that, I worked for Doug for 6 years in San Jose, and a wonderful guy, and he was a great hockey player. I watched him as a 18 and 19-year-old thinking, geez, he's a pretty good player. I wouldn't mind playing like him in the NHL, but I became a forward, not a defenseman.
There you go. That's good stuff. We appreciate the time, appreciate the insight. It was a lot of fun tonight. Good to have you on.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was great. I enjoyed it.
All right, well, Tim Hunter stops in, a Calgary Flames analyst here tonight, and unfortunately on the wrong end of things for the Calgary Flames, but back at it again on a upcoming road trip on Lanny McDonald bobblehead night. 4-1 the final here tonight against the San Jose Sharks, but onward and upward 2 nights later, they're back at it in Montreal against the Canadiens, starting that 7-game road trip. As for action at the Scotiabank Saddledome, well, it's going to be a while yet. Tuesday, November 23rd is the next home game. It's the Blackhawks that are in town, and we'll see you on the 23rd.